here.
Let's look at it.
You can stay here because I don't care about television. I'll shut it off.
Oh, okay, because they can hear it and it interferes.
Yeah, I just turned it down. See if it's okay. If not, I'll shut it off. It means nothing to me.
Okay, Bill, we're live streaming.
Got it, Suzanne. Thank you.
They keep getting knocked out.
Boy, Tom,
Hey, how are you?
I'm well.
Hey, Tom. What's going on?
Woody, how you doing in
Tom.
there?
Good, Bill. How about you?
Doing well, thank you.
Evening.
Evening, Mr. Bowman.
Hi, Mr. Bowman.
How's everyone?
We're well, thank you.
All good.
Rob, how you doing?
Good.
What's that, a Corsair behind you, Rob?
Heck yeah, state airplane.
Yep.
F4U.
Yeah, it's a D model Sky Boss out of Long Island. My friend Bill Dodds used to fly it before he passed away. He was part of the Six of Diamonds.
See one of those hanging from the roof when I go to the Marine Corps Museum in Quantico. Pretty impressive up close.
Yes.
Bill, that
Pappy's-
thing,
probably Pappy's
that's still
bird, right?
closed. I tried to go this year.
Yeah, they're opening it up soon. I think in about a week, Matt.
Really?
Yeah, they're gonna reopen it because I follow them on Facebook, and we'll try to get Matt down there this summer. Love that place.
It's great. I'll tell you what, I enjoy it.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. Okay. I know.
been many hours in there so far. I'm gonna go back down because they've added to it since we were there last.
I just want to wait.
Bill, were you
I
ever
haven't
in
been
the
in about
service?
3 years.
No, Woody, I was not.
And neither was I. I had 4 kids, one right after the other.
Yeah,
They didn't want me.
no.
EJ, is Kyle Perry one of the applicants for, yeah,
Yeah, they're
okay,
representing one of the applicants, Mel.
okay. I'm just concerned because one of the last meetings, there were a lot of people on and we were losing connections and sounds, so
Okay,
maybe they, whoever's not the applicant, I would recommend that they go mute until their application comes
yeah,
up.
I will ask when we're all here. I'm gonna ask everybody to mute until it's their turn to speak.
EJ,
Yes,
the first
Mr.
item
Bowman.
on the public hearing, I'll be abstaining from.
It doesn't matter. They're not coming in before us tonight.
That's being postponed or continued, Matt. We're not taking any
Are they
testing on that
not?
one tonight.
This week?
Yeah, we'll see him in a couple of weeks.
All right, I got 7:30.
Okay, ready to roll, guys.
I'd like to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing for Monday, May 10th, 2021. Ms. Milton, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Kurtz,
Here.
Mr. Strollo. Mr. Bowman,
Here,
Mr. Bricato,
Here.
Mr. Dawson,
Present.
Mr. Carderas,
Here.
Mr. Linder, Mr. Tedisco. They're not here yet? Wow,
Nope.
okay. Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Miss Downs,
Here.
and Mr. Selma.
I'm here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
And I'm sorry, Marilyn, Jeff Natale's here too.
Oh, Jeff
I don't think-
Natale, that's right, he's out on the road. Okay, Mr. Natale, got you.
No, and I just let Luke Tedisco in as well,
Okay, thank you.
but
Okay, everyone join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
Liberty.
liberty and justice.
Okay, first order of business tonight was to be Pabco, but they have asked us to hold the public hearing open to the next meeting. So we'll go to number 2, the special permit application, Deborah Anastasio, 358 Ginny Hill for a cottage food operator. I said I would do the call, Bill, but I don't have the call.
I
so-
have it, Mr. Chairman. The special permit application of Deborah Anastasio, 358 Ginny Hill Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410, to be a cottage food operator. Property located at 358 Ginny Hill Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. As generally shown on Assessor's Map number 79, lot number 84, in an R80 zone. So read the legal notice, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So representing for the applicant tonight?
Just myself.
Could you
Hi,
state
how are
your
you?
address for the record, please?
I'm Deborah Anastasio.
We need your address also, please.
Oh, 358 Ginny Hill Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a brief explanation what's going to be going on here?
Sure. So right now I'm a residential farm operating under those provisions, which allows me to do jams, jellies, preserves, and acidic foods like pickles and vinegars, as well as maple syrup and eggs. And so now what I'd like to do is be able to do other foods like baked goods, granolas, seasoned nuts and dried herbs and other things that I grow on the property that I then have to use for my personal use. And I'd like to turn it over to products that I could sell at the farm stand.
Okay. Bill, do we have any comments that we have?
Mr. Chairman, we have no comments from fire or engineering. They're satisfied. This is all going to be in an existing operation out of our home and are not looking for any amendments to anything she's doing. Suzanne, do we have any comments to the public?
No, no comments.
Okay. Commission members, questions on this application? We've had a couple cottage foods ones, seems
Yep.
a little familiar with these, so. With no questions or comments, and nothing from the public, I'm gonna close this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, we'll take 3 and 4 together, earth removal, filling and grading permit, G&I, Cheshire LLC, and the site plan, G&I LLC.
Okay, I would note, Mr. Chairman, the site plan application doesn't generally, we don't generally take testimony here, but because it's a special permit under the earth removal, filling and regrading, we'll do what we customarily do is take them together, so.
Okay.
The earth removal, filling or regrading permit application of G&I 9 Cheshire LLC, care of David Conrad, 201 Cheshire Road, Stamford, Connecticut, 06901, property located at 181 West Johnson Avenue, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. Is generally shown on the assessor's map number 10, lot number 30 in an I2 zone. And for the site plan application of G&I 9 Cheshire LLC, care of Dean Conrad, 201 Cheshire Boulevard, Stamford, Connecticut, for two building additions, parking and landscaping improvements located at 181 West Johnson Avenue, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. They're generally shown on Assessor's Map number 10, lot number 30 in an I2 zone. So read the legal notice, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And who will be representing the applicant on this one?
Brian Phillips. I'm with Langen out of New Haven, Connecticut.
You want to give us a brief overview of what you're looking to do?
Sure. So currently on the site, there is a large commercial building, and the application includes 2 building additions, one approximately 240,000 square feet footprint, and then a smaller addition of about 4,500 square feet. So the proposed project, yeah, this is a good plan, Bill.
Yeah.
Thanks. So our proposal is to install the building additions, some roadway improvements, including a loop access drive around the property, loading docks, which would service these new building additions, an additional trailer parking lot over on the eastern side, and then a repaving and restriping of the trailer parking lot, which exists on the left-hand side of the property. And then the access drive, right now, all trucks come in and out through the most westerly entrance along Johnson, and there is no connection to the most easterly driveway. So our proposal includes taking up some of the existing parking lot, which is over on the eastern side of the project, and installing a access drive, which would create a loop around the parcel.
Mr. Chairman, I do have comments from the Cheshire Fire Department. Let me read into the record.
Sure, go right ahead.
The fire department has reviewed the above application for the planning and zoning process. We recommend the following comments and stipulations. If this application is approved, code compliant plans must be submitted to the building official and fire marshal's office prior to construction. Number 1, water main layout and fire hydrant locations will need to be approved by the fire chief or his designee. 2, fire department approved emergency key boxes will need to be installed and maintained in areas designated by the fire chief or his designee. 3, exiting for all individual tenants will need to be properly addressed. 4, with proposed expansion of the building, the fire alarm systems and fire sprinkler systems will need to be updated to allow notifications to the fire department of the actual area of the building that has the possible emergency. The multiple fire alarm systems and sprinkler risers that span multiple tenant spaces along the manner that this building has been sectioned off as impeding emergency services to quickly find the problem and mitigate it. 5, standpipe systems may be required.
And we have no issue with any of those comments.
Okay. Bill, on the bottom of your staff analysis, it says something about we should wait for the receipt of review of revised plans.
Yeah, well, they're also before the Wetlands Commission, Mr. Chairman. We're not sure what changes we're going to have. The fire departments and engineering comments had just been sent out, and we haven't received the fully revised plans yet. And you must wait until as you know, Wetlands Commission finishes their action anyway. Yep. So we put that there as a let's wait and see comment. So the plans are substantially in order, but we just want to make sure that all the individual comments have been addressed and any concerns that may be raised by the Wetlands Commission are also addressed. I also have the architecturals, Mr. Chairman. You want to see those?
I think we have them too. So
yeah.
So that road that goes around, it's going to be for all traffic, because I think you can get around now. I mean, I've been back there a couple times.
Yeah, you can get around through the middle here, but this is going to be new, that it's going to serve the entire site, the most easterly driveway. It currently ends. It doesn't come through this portion of the site here. It's now going to be extended through here to come around. Fire department was, by the way, very pleased with that amendment to the site. And it appears that there's plenty of site distance in either direction for large vehicles at this location. This primarily has served mostly automobile traffic up here.
Okay. Questions, comments from any of the members?
Yes, EJ.
Mr. Brigado?
The lighting plan, is that current or are you updating lighting here?
We do have a lighting plan, and the goal is to install new fixtures in the the areas where we're putting in disturbances. We would be installing all new fixtures, and then we would be upgrading some of the fixtures in existing parking areas.
Okay.
They are aware that full cutoff lights are expected and required, and all new fixtures. So
Good, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Question?
Sure, Mr. Tedesco?
Yes. The new building, will that be for warehousing also, or will it be manufacturing? What is going to be done in the new building?
Warehousing.
By a variety of different tenants, or just by the existing owner, just expanding their own warehouse, or is it going to be?
I don't think that there's a specific tenant right now, but I believe it will be a single tenant in the addition, separate from the existing building.
Lou, we're not aware of anybody, who may occupy this space. No one has approached us yet. I think they're building this, hoping in discussions with tenants who may use it. So they want to get their approval now in order for them to facilitate that. So.
Thank you.
Any other commission members? Questions?
Yeah, one more. Does that max out the building size on this site, or is there still open available land to grow?
You wouldn't be able to do much. It's well within the coverage, but there's additional wetlands. You're starting to probably max out in the reasonably available development potential of this site.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any public comments on this?
No public comments.
Public comments. Okay. Well, this is being held open, so no questions. I guess we'll move on to our next application. Thank you.
EJ, is this being held open to the 24th of May? Is that the right date?
I would assume so.
Hold on, Marilyn.
What?
Yeah. Yes. The 24th.
Okay.
Yep.
Just checking.
Okay, moving on. Number
All
5,
right.
a special.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Sediment Zuto, 38 Winslow Road for an accessory apartment.
The special permit application of Sediment Zuta, 38 Winslow Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410 for an accessory apartment located at 38 Winslow Road, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410 is generally shown on Assessor's Map number 25, lot number 46 in an R20 zone.
Thank you. Do we have anyone on the call for this application?
This is Samir Juda.
Yes, how are you?
Good. Good evening, everyone.
Is the accessory apartment being built or what? I don't have anything on
Well,
this.
this is the existing one. This has been since the house was built. I spoke to all the neighbors who live there for like 42 years already. And they told me since the house was built, this has been an existing one. I didn't do any changes on it or anything. I just want to have it, let's say, legally how it is.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, this is another one that was built without benefit of any permit. The one we saw previously a couple weeks ago had been built with a variance to the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is one that never was constructed with benefit of any permitting at all. Mr. Zuda is correct, and his desire is to get it become legal under the regulations so that he may get it renewed legally or transfer the property if he chooses to one day with a legal apartment in it. And that's why he's before you tonight.
Okay. I
You
assume
have
all the regulations.
Fire Department, if I may.
sure. I don't have anything on this. I don't know if it was not in my packet or anyone getting on it.
I didn't get any drawings or anything.
Wait, I'll show you that in a minute. We did a staff report as well that basically explained what I just said, but I'll pull that. All we got was a site plan. There's a site plan which I'll pull up for you that shows the floor plan of it, and which is always required to submit. But a fire alarm system shall be installed so that occupants of both dwelling units are notified of a smoke or fire condition of the other. This is dated April 27, 2021 from the Cheshire Fire Department. So
I will do that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will do that, no problem. Any requirements, I will comply with all the requirements, whatever is needed.
Okay. I'm assuming the size of it and everything is all, is what's required.
yes. Well, I gotta find it. Hold on, right here. It came up a little weird, but this is his floor plan, and when we examine it carefully, it does show that he does meet all the requirements. There's an entryway between the two units. It is under the 950 square feet that's required, and it has its own separate entryway to the outside. So I apologize for this rough image here, but you get a little small if we can see it. So, and we checked it out. We verified it. He's 100% in compliance with the regulations. So.
So is there any safety inspection or anything they go through because it was never built to a permit?
Well,
Not that he has to change anything, just to make sure it's okay.
He's not required. Yeah, we can't. The only safety inspection would be by the fire department. They can check his alarm system. But in terms of, we don't have any ability to send the building inspector in there. So.
Is there any liability on us to allow that if it never
No,
went? Like that?
no.
Okay.
No. It's been here for 40 years. There's some real issues. I know it sounds like, why can't we just have a building official go in? Because that creates a whole bunch of problems potentially for the owner of any property when you do that. And without elaborating too much, but it's not something that I would advise commissions to request. Plus, you really don't have the authority to do that.
I was just more worried about the liability side of it.
Yeah, no, remember, he's coming to ask you for permission to keep something he already has.
No,
So I would say
I
that your
understand that.
liability is not there.
Any other commission members with questions? Anyone in the public, Bill, on this?
Yeah.
No public comments.
Okay. So with that, I will be closing this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do, here we go. Okay. So we'll take 6 and 7 together. Earth removal filling grading permit and a special permit application of Brodash Builders 202
Yep.
262 for bank financial institution.
Yep. The earth removal, filling, and regrading permit application of Brodash Builders Incorporated, care of Anthony J. Fazone, Ryan and Richuti LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. Waiver request 25.3.2 of subsection 9 and 11 under section 25.5. Property located at 202 and 216 Highland Avenue, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. Is generally shown on Assessor's Map number 57, lots numbers 276 and 274 in an R28 zone. And the special permit application of Brodash Builders Incorporated, Anthony J. Fazone, Ryan and Richuti LLC, 2 Town Center, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410 for a bank and other financial institutions with a drive-through ATM. Property located at 202 and 216 Highland Avenue, Cheshire, Connecticut, 06410. As generally shown on Assessor's Map number 57, lots numbers 276 and 274 in an R28 zone. Respectfully submitted, Jeff Natale, who's currently driving his car, Secretary, Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission. So I read the legal notice, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And representing this application.
For the record, Anthony Fazone, law firm of Fazone, Ryan and Richuti with offices in Cheshire. as stated in the call of the meeting, it's an application to build a banking facility on two properties, 202 and 216 Highland Avenue, which will properties will merge at the time of construction and demolition of the two buildings on the site. The use is allowed. It's an R20A zone, which is characterized as being a transitional zone between residential and commercial, and allowing uses that are less commercial, but certainly more than residential. It's coming in under Section 30, Schedule A, permitted uses, specifically paragraph 48, entitled Banks and Other Financial Institutions. With me this evening is Ryan McAvoy of SLR Consultants, and Ryan will go over the site details. I believe Ryan is in attendance.
Yes, Anthony, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, for the record, my name is Ryan McAvoy. I'm a licensed professional engineer with SLR Consulting, and I deliberately keeping my camera off. If the commission doesn't mind, I have a pretty hideous eye injury that would be distracting for the members if they saw me. The site, Bill, it may be easiest, if possible, if you could bring up the existing conditions rendering. I don't know if you have that from, we sent it over today. I'm not sure if you have it available.
Right there.
Here we go. Perfect. So this plan represents the existing conditions of the property. I'm going to refer to them as one property, although as Anthony mentioned, it is technically two lots presently. The site here is highlighted in yellow overall. It is approximately 1.4 acres in size, located in the R20A zone. The southerly building shown on this particular plan is accessed by a driveway directly opposite of the northerly entrance to Maplecroft Plaza, nearest to Stop and Shop Plaza. And there is driveway circulating around the building with parking to the rear. To the north, on the northern side of the property, is a single-family residential home with a separate driveway access out to Highland Avenue. The intersection with Stop and Shop and with the southerly, the two buildings, is a signalized intersection. Surrounding properties to the east include Cheshire Hillside Village, and all the residential buildings are to the east and southeast. However, their property does extend all the way out to Highland Avenue, so they are the abutting property owner to the south and to the east. To the north is a single-family residential dwelling. I believe there is a business, or historically has been a business tied to that single-family use, of photography business from the signage down front. And of course, to the west is Stop and Shop and other stores within Maplecroft. So the site has relatively interesting topography. It varies from a relatively gentle grade around the existing building and parking area, and jumps up in grade some 6 to 8 feet to the single family house, and then descends to the east, to the rear, to a watercourse, which is mostly located off the property, but is partly located on the subject property. This was subject to a Cheshire Inland Wetlands and Watercourses application and did receive approval last week. The highest elevation of the site is located adjacent to the single family house to the north at elevation 260, and then it descends to the east to the rear at down to roughly 220. So there's a fair amount of topography on the lot. I'll jump right into the proposed conditions. If you could, Bill, if you could go back to the previous.
This one?
Nope, the one with the trees. The first one you had up. Yeah, there you go. I think it's that one. Yes, perfect. So what we propose to do on the site is to demolish the existing house, existing parking area for the house, existing business and parking area for the business, and construct a single bank located roughly central to the parcel, or the two parcels when combined. Access will continue to be utilized or be made at the signalized intersection across from Stop and Shop. And parking will be located to the south and east of the proposed building in the side and rear yards. That was a decision on this property that we wanted to reduce or eliminate essentially parking in front of the building, in part to meet Chase's standards corporately, and also to be a little bit more respectful of the R20A residential zone, so it doesn't look perhaps as commercial as some other properties might with parking in the front. The total number of parking spaces on the site is 27, which does exceed the zoning requirements for a bank of this size. And there will be a drive-through loop located on the northern part of the property with a drive-through kiosk. That kiosk will serve all the customers coming in to utilize that. And there's also a bypass lane located immediately adjacent should somebody decide that they don't have the time to wait for the ATM machine to become available. In terms of landscaping, we are meeting, we believe, the intent of the regulations by providing adequate ornamental trees and shade trees in landscape islands within the parking area. We are providing 3 red maple trees along the frontage of Highland Avenue in front of the building and in front of the drive-through kiosk that will both provide some foliage in the front of the building without obscuring the building or reducing its visibility for potential customers. We also do have a few additional evergreen screening trees located to the east of the site as the grading descends towards a stormwater management basin. The location of the grading on site is specifically chosen to limit any grading or regrading of the site to the far east of the property, where we do have some significant slopes that go down to the brook. So in order to create a level pad, more or less level pad for the building, parking, drive-through lanes, et cetera, we are going to be excavating in the vicinity of the existing house, and we're going to be filling in the vicinity of the rear of the proposed building. And the filling in the rear of the proposed building is defined by a gravity retaining wall that is more or less aligned with the limit of the parking lot today, so that we're not exceeding or changing the that vegetated slope that exists between the level portion of the property and the watercourse itself. Now, as was noted in the call for the meeting, we are requesting waivers of certain sections of the regulations with respect to earth removal and regrading, specifically sections 3.9 and 3.11, which you've all seen before, which specifically limit earthwork to areas within, limits earthwork to not extend within 50 feet of a property line, and also to create slopes that do not exceed 2 to 1. Now, in our case, if we applied the 50-foot setback to all property lines, there'd be very limited land left to do any site grading. So in order to create, again, the level pad that we have for driveways, parking, drive-throughs, we do need to grade within 50 feet of the northerly property line and the southerly property line. And with respect to the waiver requested in item 3.11, we are providing for engineered structures, retaining walls in this case, that will provide a stable limit of the grading associated with that filling on the east and southeast of the site. So we feel that the introduction of the retaining wall limits any danger to downgrading properties, and the grading within 50 feet is necessary in order to create a more or less level pad for customers using the site. In terms of lighting, we have provided a lighting plan that is in compliance with town standards for the R20A zone. We do have 14-foot high poles, which I believe is the maximum allowed in the residential zone, and full cutoff fixtures that provide adequate illumination in parking areas without any spillover onto abutting properties. Bill, if you could go to the utility plan, which is, yes, I believe that one. Thank you. So this plan shows the proposed utilities on the site along with site grading. And in particular, we are providing storm drainage from all proposed improvements, roadway, drive-through, building, and front landscaping areas to be conveyed through a conventional pipe and catch basin system and discharge to a small stormwater basin in the northeast corner of the site. That basin is designed to detain the rate of runoff from the property so that it does not exceed the rate of runoff that exits the property today. Stormwater entering that basin will first be directed to a CGS unit, which is a oil grit separator, which will separate floatable debris, oils, coarse sediments, things of that nature. And then runoff will enter into the forebay of the stormwater basin, where there will be additional opportunity to cleanse stormwater before it enters the larger body of the basin, and will also be easily accessible via a path that we would grade down from the drive-through lane to the basin. Finally, on the east side of the basin, we do have an outlet control structure, which is the means by which we can detain the water within the basin and release it at a controlled rate to a level spreader discharge located in a relatively flat area, upgrading of the wetlands and water course to prevent any erosive velocities from exiting the basin and causing any erosion down gradient. Sanitary sewer will be provided via existing laterals that serve the single-family residential home. We did receive approval administratively from the Cheshire Engineering Department because we were able to demonstrate that the projected sewer flows from the bank are actually reduced from the combination of the single-family home today and the existing office building. And the building will also be served by public water as well. In terms of sediment erosion control, obviously that's critical on this site because of the downgrading slopes to the east and the stormwater or the wetland and water course. So we have detailed erosion control plans and narrative that direct the contractor to begin by installing the bottom part of the retaining wall on the south and east of the property, channeling any runoff from the site during construction of the retaining wall and filling of the back part of the property to a temporary sediment trap where any collected sediment can settle out before meandering down to the water course. And the erosion control plan has been designed in accordance with the 2002 DEEP guideline for soil and erosion control. Also submitted as part of this application was a traffic analysis that detailed the impact of this development on the Route 10 signalized intersection and surrounding roadways. And the background data used to create the report is based on 2016 DOT data, which obviously predates any reduced traffic conditions that we may have expected if the counts were done during the pandemic. So we feel confident that that data is reasonable to expect in future conditions. And we applied standard Institute of Transportation Engineer data for uses of this nature, drive-through bank, to determine a estimated flow of traffic, both in the morning peak hour and the afternoon peak hour. And as you might imagine, a bank is not a major traffic generator by any stretch. In fact, the highest rate of traffic entering the site during the peak afternoon hour was estimated to be at 25 cars, again, over a peak hour. That amount of vehicles does not result in any change to the level of service at any of the turning movements, both coming into Highland Avenue from Maplecroft and also on Highland Avenue itself. We also have determined that the sight lines available from the, well, I suppose it's the existing driveway, are adequate to serve both the posted speed limit and the 85th percentile speeds found on Highland Avenue. We also reviewed the signal timing at Highland Avenue to see what impact we would have on the property itself. And given the existing timing on the light at Highland Avenue, we estimate that with 95% confidence that the maximum queue length of vehicles exiting our property to Route 10 would not exceed 2 vehicles. So essentially, the traffic associated with this will have minimal to no impact on the Highland Avenue current conditions. Our site is adequate to allow for adequate queue space before there's any parking spaces on our property, and there's adequate sightlines for vehicles leaving the property. So that is I suppose, a fairly brief overview of the proposed site conditions. I would ask if the commission has any questions regarding the proposed site plan, or if they would prefer to have the presentation continue to the architectural design.
Anybody speak up if they have any questions? So,
I got-
Ryan?
I got one question.
Just sum up.
I noticed the drive-through is an internal loop. I'm just curious, why wouldn't you utilize the second curb cut for an in and out of the property versus interior loop and then back through the same way?
Excellent question. Primarily to take advantage of the fact that this site has a signalized intersection available. That is a much preferred configuration.
I was thinking, it'd be nice to bypass the light, but I suppose you're not supposed to do that.
Well, I think in general, the goal of the DOT on state highways such as Route 10 are to limit curb cuts.
Sure.
And in this case, obviously we have to go to them for an encroachment permit. I suspect they're going to be pleased with the elimination of at least one of the driveways.
Sure, sure.
It's generally, I understand your question, and perhaps for some vehicles it may be easier to make a northbound turn or a right-hand turn out, but
Right.
In general, the preference is to direct all vehicles to the signalized intersection.
Right, right. Yeah, I just, large vehicles trying to go into that internal loop could be daunting.
Yeah, and we did analyze the ability for that loop for large vehicles. I think the largest vehicle we looked at was something along the lines of an F-350 double wide,
Yeah.
and that was able to make that internal loop without any difficulty.
Yep, yep.
So I think all things being considered, I understand your question, and I think it might have some advantage for some drivers, but the general preference is to go out to the light.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other numbers?
Carl, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. McAvoy, that was a very thorough exposition of the whole site and everything on the site. Did I hear you to say that that the regrading, although within certain limits of the surrounding properties, would not have a harmful impact on the surrounding properties?
That is totally true. We don't expect there to be any impact on surrounding properties. Any construction needed for the retaining walls and any site grading will occur entirely on the subject parcels. We did get a comment from your consultant engineer that did have some concerns about a couple of trees that exist right on the property boundary, essentially with the southerly boundary and Cheshire Hillside Village. And given that the trees are both on the applicant's property and on the neighboring property, Mr. Brodash, the applicant in this case, had a conversation with the property manager with Cheshire Hillside Village, and they are totally in agreement and provided email to that extent that they take no exception to the removal of any shared trees along the boundary. So that would be the extent of any impact, I suppose, that would occur on the adjacent property, would be cutting down 2 trees that are essentially right along the property boundary itself.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
Mr. Natale.
I agree with Mr. Disco. I think that you gave us a lot of information, and you answered 4.5 of the 5 questions that I had that I wanted to ask. So thank you for that.
Okay.
With the current curb cut at the light, does that need to be expanded at all?
No, again, good question. We did look at the possibility of having a dedicated right and left turn lane. And the results of our analysis really suggested that would be, I would say, unnecessary, just because the queue length, again, with 95% confidence, would be limited to 2 cars. we didn't think it was warranted to create a larger, more expansive driveway opening for such a small volume of traffic.
Okay. That was the other part of my question, asking about the right-hand turn lane. So thank you for answering that without me asking.
Ah.
EJ?
Mr. Bowman.
Just a couple of questions. Number one, is there going to be a night drop any place?
I'm going to defer to the Chase team during their presentation for the building. They may be able to answer that better than I can.
But it's certainly a concern to have a well-lit night drop, free of any shrubbery or anything like that. Your ATM kiosk, that is just for an ATM, that's not for a drive-through? That won't be a remote drive-through?
Again, it's my understanding that that's just a remote ATM and service for the drive-through teller, but I'm going to defer to the Chase team on that as well because they're more familiar with their internal operations.
Are they going to give us a presentation this evening? Am I too early for these questions then?
Yeah, I'd asked if there are any site-related questions in terms of the site layout and the architectural layout, and will be handled by the Chase team.
And the other concern I have also is your choice of shrubbery, your plant schedule. Just please be sure that that's open and people can see. Again, if you're going to have an ATM and your shrubbery's got or should be limited so that there's a view, a sight line, shall we say, so that no one is getting robbed at any of these ATMs.
Yeah, the shrubs along the building are all typical foundation plantings, fountain grasses, inkberries, hydrangeas, some rhododendrons in the front. But the rear portion of the building where the access for customers is primarily small, low-growing vegetation.
All right, I would certainly take that into consideration. It looks like your PA is a pair. Is that what height will the branches be so that someone from Route 10 can look in and be able to see that ATM?
The trees along the frontage of the road have been changed to red maples. We no longer have any pear trees proposed.
Okay, so that's a change then from from what you're specifying.
Bill, I believe our plans that we submitted don't reflect the pear trees anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, for now, this is what we have. Your testimony is that you're changing the pears to red maples, correct?
Well, that is certainly our intent. That's our goal, and that I thought was reflected on our plan submitted. And if it's not, I apologize. Yeah, no pear trees.
Okay, I don't. The one I have is showing pear trees. Again, no matter what tree it is, if it's a red maple, it's certainly a very slow growing tree. And again, I would recommend that the height of the branches be kept high so that there is visibility to the ATM machine. And I really would like to know where the night drop is and how visible that's going to be also.
Sir, this is Rich Jordan from Chase. The night drop is located in the ATM lobby.
It's in the lobby in the rear entrance, right?
Yeah, exactly. You come through the front door right into the ATM is a night drop through the wall.
I'm sorry, the ATM is a night drop?
No, there's an ATM in the vestibule and there's a night drop right next to it.
Inside the building, Matt, that's what he's saying.
Inside the building.
Yeah, no, I've got that. He's breaking up a little bit and it's probably my connection. And the kiosk is just an ATM or is it a drive-through?
It's an ATM only.
Thank you.
You have to get out of your car, Matt, walk into the building to do a night drop.
Yep, that's okay. That's Bill, and that's what I'm just trying to verify.
think I saw Mr. Bricato's hand up.
Yes, the ATM, the drive-through ATM, why is it further away from the building? Would it be better if it was closer to the building, to have more visibility? If you look at where the tree's planted, you could see it easier based on what Mr. Bowman was speaking of. And it would also give you an increased area for the cars to back up in for queuing.
Hey, Rich, it's Ryan McAvoy. Would you want to take that from Chase's side, given that that's the preferred location for Chase operations?
Yeah, normally we put the ATMs remotely because we want to limit the amount of cars going across, people walking. So if it was up against the building, it would bring closer. I mean, every site's different, but that's the normal way that we approach it. We want to keep the ATM remote from the bank. We like the bank the way it looks. The ATM stuck to the side of the building, really not what Chase really wants.
No, not in the side. Like if you look at the lower right-hand view, Bill, the ATM is on the left.
Yeah.
If you were to just put it to the right part of the driveway and put that middle island and push it to the left a bit, I think it would open things up and make it clearer. People wouldn't have to worry about someone hiding in the trees at night. If they have to go through the ATM, you can light it easier, and then it would increase your queue.
Yeah, if depending on how you if you had the queue go, you'd have to move the island for the bypass lane. If you're going to continue the way it's going now, yeah, the queue would go around the turn, but if not, the queue would back up into the driveway. So, I mean, we can move it over closer. We can move it over to the island where the bypass is on the outside. I don't know if they have any appetite to move it to the building. I can always ask the question.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commission members with questions?
Yeah, I'll have one more. The big square box, why is that not a little more pleasing to the eye?
So we want to listen to their architectural proposal first, and then we'll
okay.
all those
I thought
questions.
we moved on to that.
Yeah. Okay.
I still have a question.
Sure, Ms. Downs.
The existing light, is that going to be changed at all, or is it going to stay exactly the way it is? So when cars are exiting, could you go back to that picture, please? The traffic.
Hold on.
Yep.
I get there. Hold on.
I have it in front of me, but it's easier to.
Right here.
So when the cars are exiting, they can go left or right?
That is correct.
But it'll be one, it's already there, that light is existing now,
That's correct. There are signal heads facing into the property today. And given the existing timing of the signal, there is no need based on the traffic volumes we're proposing to change any of the existing timing of the light.
and there's, is there, if you're coming from the north going south, is there a left-hand turn?
There is a dedicated left-hand turn lane into this site presently.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
EJ. I completely agree with Rob. I think that's a great idea to move that over. It might, Ryan, would that lessen the impact of that retaining wall in that area also? If you move that over and just had a single lane there instead of a double?
Well, I think, Matt, that if we were to say mirror the kiosk, I think what would happen is we would want to shift the whole interior island over and still allow for a bypass.
Okay, all right.
So it would look substantially the same as what you see. We would just have the kiosk on the other side of the island, and the island would move over to the north.
Yeah, I just was curious if it would lessen the retaining wall there, but I have no problem with that, but I do like Mr. Bricato's idea of moving that over. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other commission members with questions? I guess we'll proceed with the architectural rendering.
Patrick Jones is the architect. I believe he's on.
Yes, I'm here. So if we could just go to the elevations, I could do my majority of my presentation with the elevations up here. So this building for Chase is a custom building. It's a modified prototype plan. And what we did with the plan or the reasons for the modifications were to make the building, well, we eliminated the flat roof over the main section of the building, and we put a gable roof across the majority of the building in order to step down the scale a little bit and bring it more into scale with the residential neighborhood that is behind or nearby this site. Excuse me. In addition to this gable roof that is going across the main portion of the building, we do have a flat roof area, which was mentioned or asked about before. The reason for that flat roof area is we needed a location to still put our RTUs or our HVAC equipment. More than likely, there will be 3 pieces of equipment up on the roof there. They will not be visible because the parapet wall on that flat roof section is will conceal the HVAC units behind it. But in addition to the main gable roof that goes across the majority of the, let's just call it the front of house, and the flat roof area, the back of house, we have 2 projecting feature elements. One element, or the main feature element to the rear of the building, or the east elevation facing the parking, is the main entry. And the projection to the front of the west elevation facing Highland Ave is just there to, we've added that to the plan to enhance the look of the building and just break up that long facade with another element. In addition to those elements, breaking up the main mass of the building, we added 4 dormers, 2 dormers facing the west and 2 dormers facing the east. The materials of the building, that will have a cement board siding, similar to like a hardy plank siding, more than likely what's it called, an Allura board, is a little bit heavier duty than the hardy siding. In addition to that cement siding, we will probably use a cement board to do the feature or the trim pieces and those panels that are a part of those gable ends facing the that are on the east and west elevations. In addition to those materials, we have the back of house material, which will be a stone veneer across the, which is the, again, that's the back of house area. That's the portion that is concealing the HVAC units above. The roof will be a asphalt shingle roof, and the storefront system will be an aluminum storefront, probably colored black. In addition to the aluminum storefront, there will be a flat canopy over the entrance on the east elevation facing the parking lot. Are there any questions regarding the materials or the elevations? I can quickly go through the plan if everyone would like.
Sure.
The plan isn't your typical bank layout, although you do You walk into a lobby, into the main entrance. In that lobby, you will have an ATM and you have the after hours drop. As soon as you walk through the interior doors, you will walk into what we call the living room, which is more of an informal space. More than likely, you will be greeted by someone, and once you're greeted by someone, you, based on what services you will be requesting, you will go to one of the offices on the perimeter of the building. You may occupy may be asked to go into the living room area and have a seat on the sofa, or you may be asked to head over to one of the booths on the to the left portion of the plan. The teller area, the walk-up teller area, manual transaction area, is kind of hidden off to the side and isn't used an awful lot, but it is there for the quick transactions based again on the services that you require when you walk into the bank. The back of house area, which I mentioned before, you have your bathrooms to the top portion of the plan, and towards the bottom, you've got a lounge space for the employees, and then you have the IT room at the bottom. And that's pretty much how the plan works out. And free to answer any questions.
Okay, Mr. Ricardo, or who was that, Mr. Bowman?
Yeah, I was just, is there upstairs storage or anything, or is that just dead space?
I'm sorry, storage where?
In the gabled area, is that dead, or is there access to there for storage, or?
No, that more than likely it'll just be dead space, but we will run our air ducts through there. More than likely, it'll be a truss roof. So a lot of that space will be, you have interlocking pieces of the truss work.
Thank you.
For the gable roofs.
Mr. Bowman?
Yeah, how many square feet is the total building?
It's around 3,000 square feet.
So it's a 3,000 square foot commercial building. I don't understand the parapet and hiding the HVAC equipment when you're only talking about at maximum 2 units and probably 1 unit. Your ductwork is going to be above. You certainly, if you put a split system in, could certainly do that without a parapet. I just, because this is R20A and we do have a little bit of say and as to what the building does look like, and it's supposed to stay in I believe our regulation says that it should be in keeping with the residential feel. I do have a problem with that structure on your left-hand side, on your north side. I just don't think it's in keeping. It certainly is a commercial looking building, which I don't have a problem with. But again, that the structure to the north is just plain and simple. I personally don't like it, and I'm on the other side. I usually argue that the landowner has the right to build whatever they want, but in this situation where it's R20A and it's supposed to be in keeping with the residential feel of the area, I don't particularly like it. I know it's across the street from Stop and Shop. I know that's completely commercial. I wish you could just do something with that. I wouldn't vote against it if you didn't, but it would certainly make it easier for me to like, I guess. Thank you.
I agree with Matt.
Mr. Kurtz?
Mr. Natali?
I'm going to agree with Mr. Bowman on this one. I don't like that box being there. Is there an opportunity? I know we're not going to put a roof on it because the mechanicals and so forth are in there, but to put a different siding on it, maybe to put some type of awning or some type of pitch just on the edges to have the appearance of some type of other shape, because having that box there, I think really takes away from the building. I think it's a nice looking building minus that.
Yeah,
Is
it
there,
looks like-
is there
looks
that,
like a
is
big
there an
vault.
opportunity? Is there an opportunity to, again, put siding, do something?
We can
some type
definitely
of
look
slope?
into it. We can definitely look into it.
Yeah, we can take a look at it. You know, I can go to our mechanical engineers, you know, see exactly how much space they need to maneuver around the equipment, or need to at least specify the space to maneuver around the equipment, and how much equipment needs to go up there. And I can get with the folks at Chase, and we can take a look at a different way to approach that volume.
Mr. Kurtz?
The size of the units is not really in question. I think we already designed that, but when you go with a split system, you have to drop condensers on the ground. And that's usually we usually get a lot of pushback from most towns when we do that. So that's why we have that whole parapet set up that way. Like I said, we will look at everything.
Mr. Kurtz?
Sure, Mr. Bowman.
Well, having had a S1 heating cooling contractor's license for 40+ years, you can certainly put a split system in there. There's no noise restrictions at the property lines or anything like that in Cheshire. And I would certainly recommend that as opposed to what you have here, because I really think it's a monstrosity.
Okay, any other commissioners?
Yes, I have a question.
Ms. Downs?
The building side that faces Stop and Shop, faces Route 10, is that glass or mirrors below and above? The windows up above almost look like they're fake. Are those going to be mirrors, or what kind of material is that?
No, they'll be, they will have a film on the backside of it, so we just call it's just spandrel glass. So it's not visible. You can't see through it. It has a film on the inside.
All of them, or just the top part?
The dormers will be a spandrel glass, and the section facing the middle section where we have the projecting element, those will be a spandrel glass as well.
Does that mean you can't see through it?
Correct.
So when you're driving by, you won't be able to see anything that's going on in the bank at all?
You'll be able to see, so the sections on the right and the left of that projecting piece that you can see through that glass. It's just that middle piece that projects out. Those 1, 2, 3, 4 windows in there, that will be a spandrel glass. You won't be able to see through those.
And the dormers you don't see through?
Correct. Right.
That's like a tinted glass, basically.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
One way to look at it. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Was there someone else that had a question?
Yes, I did, EJ.
Mr. Mercado.
Even on the west side that faces Stop and Shop, if you could just continue the building instead of the box, maybe like a half gable, and the back could, drop off and have your flat roof area where you can put your mechanicals in there from the back, it wouldn't be bad. But at least that front side, make it continuous and contiguous across, so it looks much better. Might be an option to look at.
I don't think I'm following exactly what you're suggesting.
So if you're looking at the west side of the building, which is the upper right hand view, if you just continued the front of that building all the way across, and then halfway at the peak, just come down straight in the back, that gives you your flat area for your mechanicals that you can put up there. And it's just not as appealing in the back side of the building, which we're not seeing from Route 10 and everybody's seeing it. Would be a much better option, I see.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the applicant has obviously agreed to take a look at the design of the building. We would then recommend that we continue this hearing until the next meeting. Hopefully we'll receive elevation changes and whatever site changes they want to make before then for review and by staff and also by the commission. So does the applicant have any other comments that they'd like to make or with respect to that?
With respect to the architecture or with respect to anything else on the application?
Well, certainly with, yeah, I mean, we're not expecting you're going to redesign the building as we sit here, Anthony. So you got to take into consideration what I think you just said, but is there any other comments that you wish to make?
I had one kind of answers or addresses Mr. Tedesco's question about the waivers. And in addition to the retaining wall, there is a fence all along at the top of all of the retaining walls. And that's shown on the site plan. I didn't want to forget that and have to go back to that at another evening.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. I also added that's a decorative metal style fencing, not chain link or anything like that. So the fencing is there to prevent anyone falling down the wall. We also have guardrail that separates the fence and retaining wall from the proposed parking and driveway areas.
Okay, Suzanne, do we have any public comments on this application?
No public comments.
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment from Cheshire Fire Department.
Sure, please read it in.
Which is relevant to this, no matter how it's redesigned. It says, this is dated April 27, 2021. The fire department has reviewed the above application for the planning and zoning process. We recommend the following comments and stipulations. One fire department approved emergency key box will be installed and maintained at a location approved by the fire chief or his designee. That's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? It is being held open. Questions or comments on the bank? No. Okay, Mr. Vazon, you're all set for this evening?
AJ, I have one question.
Sorry, Mr. Bowman.
Ryan mentioned the guardrails. Maybe I just can't see it on the site plan, but I would like to have that clear. Oh, no, I apologize. It's there. It's a timber guardrail. Okay, I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Anthony, are you all set?
I just would like Patrick Jones or Rich Dortis. Do you have anything you'd like to add at this point in time?
No, we will go back to our design team with course dates, and we'll look at what we can do to make it a more pleasing building, and we'll talk about the HVAC. And then obviously our attorney Jen Porter will reach out to you guys and reach out to Bill and set us up for the next meeting. We'll most likely we'll send Bill in advance look at any changes that we make, this way he can kind of vet it a little bit, and then we'd like to get back in front of you guys.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We keeping this public open. That'll take us to adjourn the public hearing.
I'm sorry, May 24th.
May 24th, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I to adjourn the public hearing?
Mr. Kurtz, before you adjourn, I missed the roll call, but I was here for the Pledge of Allegiance, so I've been here for the entire meeting.
Yeah, I have you down, Mr. Tedisco. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Motion to adjourn.
By Mr. Ricardo, seconded by Mr. Natale. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Moving on, I'd like to call the Planning and Zoning Commission special meeting, Monday, May 10th, 2021. I get a motion to accept the minutes from our public hearing and regular meeting from April 26, 2021, please.
Motion to approve both.
Moved by Mr. Natale, seconded by Mr. Bowman. Any discussion, corrections, anything on? All right, so we have no Mr. Strollo and no Mr. Linder. Everyone else, I believe, is here, so we'll take Salmont and Miss Downs. You guys okay to vote the minutes? Mr. Salmont and Miss Downs, okay.
I'll be curious for the minutes because I wasn't here.
So we'll take,
Mr. Kurtz,
yes,
Mr. Kaderis does not have to recuse himself. He just abstains. So you only need 2 alternates.
that's what I said.
Good. I thought I got confused here. That's okay. Thanks.
I told him I said, okay. So with that, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining?
I abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Kaderis. The motion carries 801 with Mr. Kaderis abstaining. Under communications, we have a letter from Anthony Pizzone for request 90-day extension, section 825, approved Stonebridge Crossing subdivision map.
I do have a motion, Mr. Chairman. This would be the first extension for that. We did get a letter from Attorney Pizzone. If you I read the motion in.
Yes, please.
Move that the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission hereby grant a 90-day extension for the filing of the subdivision Mylar for the approved Stonebridge Crossing subdivision as authorized under section 8-25 of the Connecticut General Statutes. As I noted, it is a first extension.
Okay.
Staff wording.
By Mr. Natale, seconded by Mr. Mercado.
I'm recusing myself.
Okay. So with Mr. Bowman recusing himself, we will need all 3 of our alternates. Any discussion on this motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Under unfinished business, site plan application for
Mr. Chairman,
Verizon.
they're going to do a presentation to you, but could we take the
Yeah,
motions on
let's
Ginny
bump it.
Hill and
No, you're right.
yes, right?
Flipping, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, that's
So
all right.
motion, is everyone okay with the cottage food, and the West Johnson? Well, let's do the cottage food first. We hear the motion for that, please.
Mr. Chairman, 358 Jenny Hill Road, the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission finds the proposal to operate a cottage food establishment is consistent with the requirements of section 30, schedule 8, item 18B of the Cheshire zoning regulations governing home enterprises, and hereby approve this application.
Move staff wording, Woody Dawson.
Second.
Mr. Dawson, second by Mr. Mercado. Any discussion on this motion?
Pretty simplified. I think she's self-explanatory. She did a great job with the presentation.
Yep, Mr. Natale.
It's just one comment. I anticipate this being approved, and I read your letter that you wrote in, and I just want to say that I think that having the gluten-free and celiac offerings in town is something that we're lacking. So wish you luck on that, and thanks for serving that portion of the community that doesn't have that right now.
Any other discussion? Okay. So what did I not do last time? We will have Mr. Selmont and Mr. Anderson voting in Strollo and Mr. Linder's place on this one. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Was that someone was opposed? Nope. Okay. Anyone abstaining? Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And the Winslow Road. Accessory
Yes,
apartment?
sir. The Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission find that the proposal to establish an accessory apartment is shown on plans provided by the applicant at 38 Winslow Road is consistent with the requirements set forth within section 30, schedule 8, item 5 of the Cheshire zoning regulations, and hereby approve this application.
Move staff wording, Woody Dawson.
Second.
Well, Mr. Dawson, second by Mr. Mercado. Discussion on this motion. pretty easy. It meets the regulations, been there forever, making them illegal apartments. So.
Yep.
So who didn't vote? We'll have Ms. Downs vote on this and Mr. vote on this, taking the place of Mr. Strollo and Mr. Linder. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Now, site plan action for G 90 Fieldstone Court. Do we have someone on here to give us an explanation?
Yes, Kyle Perry with Vergy on behalf of the Lane Construction Company at 90 Fieldstone Court. Excuse me. Good evening, commission members. My name is Kyle Perry. I'm part of the Vergy team that is developing and EPCing the ground mount and carport solar arrays on behalf of the Lane Construction Company at 90 Fieldstone Court in Cheshire, Connecticut. I'm joined here tonight by our civil engineer, Kevin McCaffrey from All Point Technology. I'd like to begin just by giving a brief overview of the project, and then we can jump to Kevin, who can share more of the technical aspects of the civil design with you. After that, we can answer any questions they may have on the project. At the request of the zoning official, we went before the Wetlands Commission for the town of Cheshire on April 6th, 2021. It was given the determination that no wetland permit would be required for this project, as it does not affect any wetland or upland review area. The ground mount and carport solar arrays combined for a total of 1,140 panels, or a DC total system size of 456 kilowatts DC. The estimated production of these two arrays combined for approximately 524,000 kilowatt hours. In total, the arrays at the facility will have an offset of roughly 98% of the Lane Construction Company's annual consumption. In conjunction with the solar installation, this project will support the installation of 4 electric vehicle chargers in the back parking lot underneath the canopy system. All the carport structures will have limited visibility from other properties as it is in the back of a property surrounded by vegetation is at the end of a cul-de-sac, Fieldstone Court. Since the carport array will be taking out existing parking lot lighting, we have conducted an existing conditions photometric study to measure the candlesticks in that area of the parking lot. We'll be adding lighting underneath and on the exterior of the carport in order to maintain these existing candlestick readings throughout this area of the parking lot. In coordination with the owner of the property, it was important for us to make sure that we kept the existing lighting conditions the same. At the completion of this project, you will have an addition to the town that helps aid the environmental effort put forth by the state of Connecticut. Does not increase traffic to the area of the town and does not utilize or siphon from town-funded resources. We hope you look favorably upon this project and look forward to any comments you might have. Do you guys have any questions, or I can hand it off to Kevin on the civil design here and erosion control measures?
Any questions for Mr. Perry? Or should we just go right on?
I just have a simple question, EJ, if you could.
There's so much.
It's a carport in the back and then a ground mounted solar array to the side. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, with nothing else, I guess we'll move to the next part of the meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I mean, that was a great summary. There isn't really too much else to talk about.
Mr. Chairman, who's speaking? Could I get some names?
Yeah, this is Kevin McCaffrey, civil engineer with All Points. So we're the consultants of Vergy on this project. So as Kyle said, there's 2 areas to the project. That aerial view right there, well, is probably the best. So I'll just touch on 2 main points. Construction phase and erosion control needs, and then stormwater and drainage. So the ground mount area to the north is all within an existing grassed area. So there's no clearing needed. In addition to that, there's no earthwork needed. The slopes are fine the way they are, and it can be installed at grade. We will do a small construction entrance tracking pad when we leave the asphalt there to the northwest of the building. deal with any soil that is moving around during construction. There'll be perimeter control put around the entire fence line that you see there in the ground mount area. We don't expect much soil movement since this area is already vegetated, but there may be a little bit of rutting in those alleys as things get installed. And then that'll be overseeded and mulched as they're done. As far as the carport area, that is essentially all over existing paved surfaces. So there's really no earthwork needed there as well. There will be some demolition of that asphalt to get the piers in to support the system, and then to do the lighting and the wiring, as Kyle mentioned. In total, there's about 7/10 of an acre of earth disturbance. It's around 6/10 of an acre for the ground mount area, and then there's about 1/10 of an acre to get the trenching in on the north side of the drive there to get the wires in. And from a stormwater perspective, as I mentioned, the carport area is all impervious already, so there's no change in runoff conditions there. And then the ground mount area is all vegetated. So the way the rules work with that in the state of Connecticut is that you look at what the ground cover is, and the panels are not considered impervious since they're drained to a vegetated area. So that's a long way of saying that no formal stormwater will be needed for that area as well.
Mr. Chairman, if I may have comments from the Regional Water Authority and the Cheshire Fire Department.
Yes, please, Regional.
Regional Water Authority dated May 6, 2021. The Regional Water Authority has reviewed the above referenced proposal. The applicant is proposing a carport solar array on an existing parking lot. The property is within the North Cheshire Aquifer Protection Area. Solar arrays are an allowed use in the APA based on the information submitted. We have no comment. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this application. It's from Ronald Walters, Regional Water Authority. Cheshire Fire Department dated May 3rd, 2021. The fire department has reviewed the above application for the planning and zoning process. We recommend the following comments and stipulations. 1, the fire department would like information on emergency procedures regarding this installation in the event of a fire emergency. 2, the procedure should address total energization of equipment. Say that 3 times fast. Firefighting procedures and any other emergencies that may arise. And 3, the electric vehicle charging stations will need to be equipped with remote power shutoffs. Methods of shutoff and location to be approved by the fire chief or as designated. That's it, Mr. Chairman. No other comments.
Have they,
Kyle.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I reached out to Chief. Sorry, this is Kyle Perry with Verigy. I reached out to Fire Chief Kastner today to talk about these comments. We're working through our emergency plans now. It's fairly typical for us to always have this on site in case anything were to happen. The owner of the property, the Lane Construction Company, would also have a copy of this. And there would be placards for emergency numbers on the ground mount array and by our AC utility disconnect, which is on the northeast corner of the building. That's approved by Eversource, the utility company. As far as the remote shutoffs, we're working through that right now with the fire chief. So we will look to comply with all of his comments.
Okay. I assume if they come out and they're going to comply, is this something that Jack still has to look at, or is this?
Oh no, Mr. Chairman, those are code-related issues. Your job would be just on the site plan. Those are their code and things that they're going to need permits to do this. They're going to need permits to do the installations, and at that time, the fire marshal and the fire chief will review specifically the code-related comments that they have entered for your record tonight.
Okay. Any more for this? No more presentation questions, Mr. Natalia. Hand up.
Yep. This could be just perspective, but looking at the backside of the carport, if you have a car parked on the corner there in the last spot there, and there's cars parked in those parking spaces on the back end, is there enough room for a fire truck or an apparatus
Yes.
to get around there?
We had that conversation when, remember the police department came in? And it was John Strollo in particular that was worried about the height. These are well above what is needed. I also asked the fire department to review that as well, and they have no concerns regarding the height.
Okay, yeah, Bill, I'm not concerned about the height because I saw that in the staff report. But
Yeah.
can a fire truck or apparatus, if there's a car parked under the carport and in the spot across from there, can the fire truck swing to get through there?
Yes.
And same goes for
Is
the
the
other.
radius sufficient? It is with the height and combined with the height, yes.
Well, like I said, I'm not so concerned about the height because if there's a car parked there at the end, can the fire truck get through?
Well, yeah, that aisle width is sufficient. That's already there.
Okay, like I said, it's just perspective. It's just perspective looking at it.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that something you can get through there.
Yeah, well, what happens is the sharp edge of the carport appears that it, provides a barrier there, but it's not. That's an already constructed parking area with sufficient aisle width there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other commission members with comments? No? Okay. We have a motion for this.
Mr. Chairman, I do. 90 Fieldstone Court site plan application for carport solar array. The Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission find that the proposed carport solar array is shown on plans entitled Bergy Lane Construction Solar, Fieldstone Court, Cheshire, Connecticut, dated March 12, 2021, are consistent with the requirements of the Cheshire zoning regulations and hereby approve this application conditioned upon compliance with comments of Cheshire Fire Department dated May 3rd, 2021.
Move staff wording, Whitty Dawson.
Second. Mr. Dawson, seconded by Mr. Mercado. Any discussion on this motion?
I think the presentation is pretty reasonable. Most of it's there, not much change to it at all.
Right.
So putting a little lighting in and running some lighting underground with wiring that they'll have to break the asphalt up for. I think he made it pretty clear that it was, well addressed as far as I'm concerned. He did a good presentation on it. I think it's very good application.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else discussion on this motion? Okay, so we will have Mr. Salma and Mr. Anderson voting in Mr. Strollo and Mr. Linder's place on this one. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries unanimously. We did 5, 7, 8. New business, Cordia Smart, 20 Mountain View Terrace.
June 14th, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. The nail
Nail
salon.
salon, May 24th.
Okay, Railroad Avenue, Town of
George
Cheshire,
Giovanni, they asked for it June 28th.
June 28th. Okay. Mary Secondi, Redstone Accessory Apartment.
May 24th.
4th. Okay. And then all our table applications. Anything
Yeah.
else? For
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Good meeting. Anyone want to
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Dawson, seconded by Mr. Mercado. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, all.